Okay, yes, Randy, I know this is so confusing. And I got so many comments like this. As soon as I started talking about Jen McCabe's involvement, people are like, well, it's her nephew, it's her son, who the hell are these people? I got out my pen and paper and I made a little flow chart. Hold on a minute, and let me share with you what I did. Okay, I get that this is a little bit rinky dink, but bear with me. So here we have Matt McCabe and Jen McCabe married to each other. They have a daughter named Allie. For these purposes, this is one family unit. Okay. Then we have Nicole Albert is married to Brian Albert, and they have children. And I just listed Brian Jr., but I believe there's two others. So here we go. This line here is another family unit. Then we have Chris Albert and Julie Albert, and they are the parents of Colin. So this is a third family unit. Okay. Now, just for the record, Brian Albert also has, in addition to Chris, he also has two other brothers. I think they're Kevin and maybe Tim. We're not talking about them for this demonstration. Okay. So this family unit here and this family unit here are related to each other because these two people are sisters. So Jen McCabe and Nicole Albert are sisters, blood sisters with each other, which means that Allie and these kids right here are cousins to each other. It means that Nicole and Brian Sr. are Allie's aunt and uncle, and Jen and Matt are these kids' aunt and uncle. Okay, so these two family units are related to each other. Then we move over here, and these two family units are related to each other because Brian and Chris Albert are brothers. Okay, so same thing goes, because they are brothers, then these kids are cousins. And Brian Jr. has an aunt and uncle over here, and Colin has an aunt and uncle over here. So Brian Jr. is in a great position because on his mother's side, he's related to the McCabes. Jen and Matt are his aunt and uncle, and he has Allie as a cousin. On his father's side, he's related to Chris and Julie and Colin, and then whoever else these guys down here have as kids. Okay, so it's really only this family in the middle that is related to both this family and this family. Okay, so Allie is related to Brian Jr. Brian Jr. is related to Allie. Brian Jr. is related to Colin, and Colin is related to Brian Jr. But technically, Allie isn't related to Colin because these two families are connected and these two families are connected. Now, I understand the logic of extended families and arguments about, well, they've all grown up together, they spend Christmas together, they all live in the same town. I get it. Colin might call Jen McCabe his aunt. But let me tell you this, if Colin were in the emergency room and Jen McCabe were the first adult to show up and they said to her, who are you? And she said, well, I'm his aunt's sister, they would say, no dice, you don't get in. Because that's too much of a stretch. That's too many steps to family, okay? Technically, all of these people over here are Nicole's family, not Jen's. They're Nicole's in-laws. So Jen, as far as in-laws go, she does have an in-law. She has a brother-in-law, and it is Brian. And Jen would have other in-laws over on this side if the McCabes had other family over here. So if Matt has brothers or sisters over here, those are also Jen's in-laws on her husband's side. Her in-law on her sister's side is Brian. Technically, if I'm getting, like if we just did that, then it would say this is where Jen's relation ends. She's related to Brian. Technically, she's not related to anybody else. These people over here are her sister's in-laws. Nicole is related to all of these people because she's married to Brian. Jen isn't married to an Albert, so she's not related to the Alberts. Her sister married an Albert, so her sister is related to all of these people. Now then, I'm pulling out my little highlighter for this. This is why my previous video said if Brian Albert did something wrong, if Colin Albert did something wrong, if Brian Higgins, who's not even on here, if he did something wrong, if any of these three men, any or all of these three men did something, why is Jennifer McCabe even involved? Why is Jennifer McCabe putting herself in the middle of this Bermuda Triangle over here? Because the people who should be concerned are this one, because perhaps her husband did something. This one, because perhaps her son did something. But why is this one knee deep in a pile of shit? That's what I'm trying to get to the bottom of. Hope that helps. Now, I know there's also a lot of people that are saying, yeah, but it's not just her brother-in-law. They've all grown up together. They've known each other since they were kids. People even came into the comments and said that Jen and Brian used to be involved. I don't know any of that. All I know is I think about my family, and I have a lot of situations like this where it's extended and it's my sister-in-law's brother's family, and I know I'm not related to them. Yes, we spend Christmas together, and yes, I'm around them, but I'm not technically their relative. And I know that. They can call me Aunt Candy, but I'm not technically their relative. And I think that's the point I'm trying to make. Someone in that extended family killed somebody? Why are you expecting me to cover your shit up? I don't think I could be somebody that would risk my entire freedom for somebody else that is part of an extended family. That's all I'm saying.